The Legacy building on Front Street in downtown El Paso is undergoing a big transformation to teach people about the past.
There are things that are in here that are original, such as this mirror. The infrastructure is original. You can see the plating right here.
In the 1800s, the basement of the building housed a barbershop run by David Strother. His name may not ring a bell, but as history students at El Paso Gridley High School and their teacher Michael Mielek found out, Strother was a trailblazer.
And one of the students did a story on David Strother. And when we watched her YouTube video, we found out that this man lived in El Paso for 40 years, owned a business, and was the first African American to vote in Illinois after the passage of the 15th Amendment. And my class of students is like, this guy's from El Paso? This is wild. We need to do something about this.
In 1870, Strother made history when he became the first black person in Illinois to vote. The current owner of the building, Tabitha Norwalk, was also learning about the history of Strother, and like Mielek, wanted to do and learn more.
I invited Tabitha up to the classroom to present our ideas for what our potential exhibits would be. And then after we presented, she's like, all right, let's do it. And I'm like, no. This is just a hypothetical. She's like, no, we're doing it. We're going to make this museum. People need to know Strother's story. People need to know the story of voting rights in America. And I'm like, here we go. This is out of my comfort zone, but let's go for it.
The Project 15 Museum is named after the 15th Amendment, which states that the right of citizens to vote shall not be denied on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. You may be wondering how a black man in small-town El Paso made history. Well, to explain that, we need to explore how Strother wound up in predominantly white Woodford County. David Strother's mother was a slave in Missouri and was able to buy her freedom when her owners died. She eventually moved to Peoria, where David was born in 1843.
He was a cook with Company F in the Illinois 17th Infantry. And they went south into the Civil War, and they were with Grant at Vicksburg. And so he has Civil War experience. And then while he's there, some of his buddies in Company F are like, hey, you should open up a barbershop in El Paso.
The 15th Amendment went into effect on March 30th, 1870. The following week, there was an election. Under a special charter, El Paso held its election day one day before most other elections. That's why Strother, and not a black person in Chicago or another part of Illinois, made history.
The first time he went to the polling place, one of the election officials actually turned him away. He said, if there's any law that's passed, I haven't heard of it. And so they didn't let Strother vote the first time. Later, they telegraphed to get a copy of the 15th Amendment. And then they came back and got David and said, all right, we've got a copy, let's go. He went back, showed them the 15th Amendment, and that's when they let him vote.
The Project 15 Museum isn't just about honoring David Strother. We got a sneak peek during construction. When finished, it will be the first voting rights museum in Illinois. The nonpartisan, nonprofit group will also focus on education, outreach, and signing up voters.
This is going to be our Landscape of Today section. We're hoping to have a kind of another interactive section over here. So it's going to have, like, if you've ever been to a children's museum and you have like the colored lights where you get to play with the lights, we have a motto that is diversity creates beauty. And so with that, we're gonna have these colored lights. Then when people move, their shadows create different colors, and the different colors represents the beauty that comes with diversity.
Board member Leah Williams says the museum will also look at the history of struggles other minority groups and women have endured.
I found out what this museum was about. I was like, I have to do something to help raise David Strother's voice and all these people who have been disenfranchised. Today, there are people who don't have voting rights that everybody else has access to. And so I have to also lift up their voices. We are going to be creating the first voting rights museum of its kind in the country. We're going to be doing an all-around coverage of voting rights. So Native American voting rights history, Asian American, Latin American, African American, women's suffrage, and then we're going to also dive into David Strother and the history of black barbershops. And it's going to be an overall Incredible project.